What's up guys, my name is Ace, and yesterday we got an interesting tweet from Treyarch, and in this they showed off a revamped version of the TED operator skin that you get with the Vault edition of the game. And in the tweet they said, in the spirit of addressing some recent feedback, we're making a few visual changes to some of the Vault edition operators, starting with our favorite post-apocalyptic bus driver. We think it's pretty face-melting. And this is what the new TED skin looks like in action. It's definitely a much more gritty looking feel. They melted his face, so it looks more like the TED that we saw back in the day in Zombies. It's also really interesting. A lot of people are pointing out with this new skin, his body is actually made up of a bunch of wonder weapons from the past in Call of Duty. So I think that's a really cool throwback for the Zombies community. Obviously, as a multiplayer guy, it doesn't hit quite the same, but I can really appreciate the fact that they're doing that for the zombie side of things. And I do think this version of the skin looks quite a bit better than the original version, which is this one here. This is the one that was definitely getting the most amount of backlash, especially when they announced they're not doing carry forward because of the wacky skins from Black Ops 6 and they wanted to keep things more grounded, but then people were pointing to this being like, that's not very grounded, that looks ridiculous and goofy. My opinion on that was I didn't particularly like the looks of that skin, but at the same time, I did think it fit fine with the setting of the game. It's one of those situations though where this is really subjective. Everybody's got a different line that they draw in the sand when it comes to what's considered too goofy or out there versus what's at least close enough to the core theme and setting of the game that it's fine. And for me, none of these Vault Edition operator skins really cross that line given the setting of Black Ops 7 and the clips that we've seen for Black Ops 7. Whereas literal cartoon skins or human-animal hybrids, that's what crosses the line for me. And many of you guys know with my videos in the past, I was quite passionate about that topic because those really crossed the line for me and that was a big deal to me. But obviously those are just my personal thoughts on that. I think if you didn't like the looks of the TED operator skin and you thought it was too goofy, that's totally fine. I see where you're coming from with that. And I'm glad they made this change for you and also for me. I think this does look better, like I said. Even though I didn't really mind the previous one, I prefer the looks of this one. And I'm curious to see what else they do with other Vault operator skins because, circling back to that tweet, they said they're making a few visual changes to some of the Vault Edition operators, not just one of the Vault Edition operators or just this Vault Edition operator skin. And taking a look at the other ones, again, there's nothing here that really jumps out at me as like this doesn't fit within the setting of Black Ops 7 based on what we've seen so far with the reveal. Perhaps the one on the left with what looks like some kind of like energy shield or something. Maybe that's a little bit out there for 2035 and with the setting in the game. But I mean, I don't think that would be that much of a stretch to expect something like that within the setting of the game that has some interesting futuristic looking tech. And then on the right, I have seen some people pointing out the robot on the right. The robot absolutely fits with the setting of the game. Like, I don't think we need to see any changes there because robots are a huge part of the setting and campaign. Like, the whole story is centered around robots and AI and stuff like that. So for anybody complaining about that, I just straight up think this game is not going to be for you, and that's totally fine. But in saying that, once again, even though I think technically all of these I would be fine with in the game, I think they fit the theme just fine. I also wasn't really blown away by any of these skins. I don't really love the looks of them, outside of maybe the robot skin. I think that one actually looks pretty cool. But for the other ones, I do think they look a little bit off, and I'm definitely open to seeing what they've got for us. I hope we see some adjustments to those. And especially if they want to make it even more grounded and gritty, I'm 100% on board with that. And I hope this is marking an actual shift to their design philosophy when it comes to creating skins. And this is a conversation we had when talking about the fact that they canceled carry forward due to the operator skins being too wacky in Black Ops 6. And in that blog post, they did say your feedback matters, and in Black Ops 7, bundles and items will be crafted to fit the Black Ops identity. We hear the feedback, we need to deliver a better balance toward the immersive, core Call of Duty experience. So maybe this is a sign that they are really committing to that, and I hope it is. At the same time, it is worth remembering, last year with Black Ops 6, they explained why they didn't do carry forward from Modern Warfare 3 into Black Ops 6, and that's because they wanted everybody to experience the Black Ops universe the way it's meant to be played, with era-specific weapons and gear. And with all of this being a reference to carry forward, they also mentioned keeping that signature Black Ops style. And obviously, that was thrown out the window almost immediately with Black Ops 6. We got stuff that was so far out of the Gulf War era that was not era appropriate at all. So many of the skins in the game ended up being not even close to a signature Black Ops style at all. So I definitely feel a certain level of skepticism with the new commitment they're making here, with bundles and items being crafted to fit the Black Ops identity. But so far, at least, it looks like they may actually be taking this seriously. We'll of course have to monitor this over time, and if things get too crazy and wacky and it's clear they're deviating heavily from this commitment, then I will absolutely be making a video on that and calling that out the moment it happens, but time will have to tell on that. And on that note, one of the big things that came up with this announcement that they made an adjustment to the TED skin is the fact that this is such a minor issue in the grand scheme of things, and it really shouldn't be the focus of the conversation here. And I totally get that sentiment. When it comes to this TED skin that was in the game previously, I doubt that was realistically going to be a deal breaker for all that many people out there. And I think instead, people are far more concerned with a lot of the bigger picture issues, like the modern matchmaking system they use, or the forced disbanding lobbies, or the way they're monetizing things perhaps, or even the way they handle their double XP tokens, where those work in real time so it includes all of your lobby time and everything in between, rather than just your in-game time. Even something like that, which would also be considered fairly minor, that's still a bigger deal than the way that this TED character skin looks for the Vault edition of the game. So I see where people are coming from, where it's like, this is what you're listening to and not all of these big issues that we've been screaming about. But at the same time, the people that have the power to change something like a character skin in the game, those aren't going to be the same people that have the power to have an impact on those bigger picture issues. And therefore, I just appreciate the fact that the teams that are capable of doing this are doing this. They are listening to the feedback. Doesn't mean we should let up on the other issues that we have with the game. But I also think it's important to give credit where credit's due and recognize the fact that there are at least people there that care about this. They're working on it. They're listening to the feedback that they can have an impact on, and they're making that impact. So I'm happy to see this. This doesn't mean we should be letting up on bigger issues that we have with the game. If there's something that's preventing you from wanting to play the game that you otherwise would want to play, then sure, I think it's totally reasonable to continue bringing up that feedback and pushing for change in those areas. And with that, I did want to circle back to the clip a little bit because there's a few other observations that I wanted to point out here. The first of which is the fact that we get a really nice look at what appears to be a SPAS 12, or something that's based on a SPAS 12 at least. And that's one of the guns that didn't really show up much in the reveal. If you guys missed it, I did go through every gun that we saw in the reveal, and it's actually almost every one of the guns we'll be seeing at launch. There's only a few that we're missing from that. So if you guys are interested in checking that out, I will leave that link down below. But these clips give us a really nice look at the SPAS 12. And then the other observation to make here is the fact that this animation style and everything does look like it's going to be that background menu animation, more similar to what we saw in Cold War compared to modern day. Modern day is a lot more of a close-up of the operators. It still does a sort of similar thing where the operator is always in motion and the camera is jumping around to different perspectives. But this one's a little bit more zoomed out and, like I said, more like Cold War style. And I'm curious to see if this is what the background of our multiplayer menu, for instance, is going to look like when we actually get our hands on the game. And this might be an indicator of that. Personally, I've never really been a huge fan of that style. I thought it was kind of neat at first, but it got old very quickly, especially with how the camera is constantly changing position. When I'm sitting in a menu, I don't really want that. I would much rather see a more static scene where it's just operators standing around. I think that looks a lot better, and it's also just less jarring. There's less going on in the background. It's just a menu. I don't need my menu to be flipping between a bunch of different camera angles constantly. I'd like it to be a little bit more static, personally. But that is just something that I wanted to point out. It's not confirmation of anything, it's just a little observation I wanted to make. And with that, this is where I'm curious to hear from you guys in those comments down below. How are you feeling about this adjustment they made to the TED operator skin in Black Ops 7 already based on feedback? And which, if any, of the other Vault operator skins would you like to see an adjustment to? Just let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.